By the time you're watching this video, the Nintendo Switch 2 will officially be out, and I will be in a hotel on a work trip. And I know what you might be thinking, how lucky, how fortunate that the Switch 2 came out. Now you can enjoy it on the flight, you can enjoy it in the hotel every night for 5 days, and on the way back. That's so incredibly lucky. But I'm not bringing it. I'm not going to be bringing it on this trip, and instead I'll be bringing my Switch 1. And really what it all comes down to is $450, man. When you add in the sales tax, it's like $480, $490. The Switch 2, if you guys remember the Switch 1 with the initial reveal trailer when it came out, they showed footage of someone playing Skyrim on a plane. I think they showed kids playing with it at a skate park. Maybe that was the Switch Lite trailer. But anyway, that's the main selling point of the Switch, is to be able to play these console quality games on the go. And the Switch 2 is just going to be so much better in terms of its capabilities. And so you think that this is the use case of the Switch 2, is to be able to play it at home, but bring it with you on the go. But that price tag, $450, $480 after tax, plus the game, it's just it's just too much. Not too much to buy it and for it to be a good system. No, it's everything it needs to be, but it's just too much right now to bring it out on day one, at least for me. Maybe it's an OCD thing, maybe it's a germaphobe thing, but I find airports and airplanes to be just so dirty and gross. I think hotels are gross. I don't want to be leaving it in the hotel room and then have to worry about room service, going through the bags or anything. I know that probably doesn't happen, but anyway, it's just it's just too much and just too hard to get. And the fact that's probably only going to go up in price in the future, it's great system, and still love the portability of it. But for me, it's it's a inside the house portability thing. I mean, with Switch 1, we have 3 Switch docks, one in our entertainment center, home theater, one in our living room, and one in my office. And so we're getting 2 Switch 2, so we're going to be down 1 dock. But, the Switch 2 is going to be great in handheld mode, so it's not that big of a deal. And we don't really use the living room setup anyway because of just limiting kids' screen time right now. We'll eventually need to get one in the living room as they get older. But, this is an 8 to 10 year thing. We're probably going to be getting another Switch 2 at some point, so not too worried about there. So the handheld, to be able to play a little bit in bed, it's going to be great for in the house. But outside of the house, man, it's just a little too much. And I used to think that the Switch 1, this is where the Switch 1 and Switch 2 are very unique in terms of Nintendo's history of consoles. I think that the Switch 2 is very unique, that it makes the Switch 1 completely obsolete. Maybe the Wii and GameCube were like that too, with the Wii having backwards compatibility with the GameCube and having all the controller ports. But, I guess you can make an argument with the Game Boy Advance player that, that's something that the GameCube could have done that the Wii could not do. But everything that the Switch 2 can do, everything the Switch 1 can do, the Switch 2 can do. And the Switch 2 can play the Switch 1 games even better than the Switch 1 can for the most part. Yeah, I know there's a list of some compatibility things, but right now I'm sure they're going to iron that out. And who cares about the Labo stuff and whatever. In a couple years, the Switch 1 is completely obsolete compared to the Switch 2. And so I used to think what's the point of the Switch 1s? Maybe we'll put them in storage as backup for when we're retired someday, and if our consoles are dying on us, that we just have something as a backup to use to get by whenever we need to. Or really, probably more realistically, we're probably going to give the Switch 1s to the kids when they're old enough to play video games for their first time, because that's something that if they break it or it gets grimy, they bring it to a restaurant or in the car, they can get dirty, it's fine. They're the old Switch 1s, let them be played. But yeah, here's another use case for the old Switch 1s, is that's going to be my travel console. I have a Switch Lite that's $200 Switch Lite. That's usually been my travel console. It's only $200, so it's way more easy to stomach if anything wrong happens with it. And it's smaller, so it's a little more portable than the actual Switch 1. I'll probably bring a full-size Switch 1 on this trip just because the Switch 2 is out. And then I can use like the tabletop mode in the hotel. But yeah, I don't know. With that 450 price tag, it really makes you like think that there's still room there for a cheaper handheld console that's really for the go, really for the portable. Switch Lite was kind of like that, but it was so close to the price of the Switch 1 that's like it. I don't know. It didn't like super feel like there was a need for the Switch Lite, but now at 450, it really feels like there's a need, especially because the price might get bumped up to 500 with tariffs or whatever economic issues coming up in the future that they kind of soft hinted at or left pretty vague. And you got to think they might be doing a OLED model or a Pro model in the future, which is going to cost more anyway. So we're talking like probably 550 at that point. So there's a huge floor with like the Switch Lite being 200, for some kind of cheaper portable console. And honestly, like even with the Switch Lite, it doesn't feel as portable as say like the clamshell DS design or just, the Game Boy Advance. Like those are real easy to bring around. And I think it'd be really cool almost that I think this now with this hole in the market, since like the Switch, even with competitors like with the handheld PCs with like Steam and Xbox possibly getting in the market. I know they said they're postponing that, but they're still going to be licensing stuff out. And Sony's probably coming in the handheld PC market soon. I can't imagine those being cheaper than the Switch 2. Those will probably be more expensive than the Switch 2. I think this could be the time. I mean, not this year, but 2026, 2027. I think it'd be a great time for Nintendo to release like a Game Boy classic, kind of like the NES and Super NES classics. Some cheap price point of like $80, $100, preloaded with like 20 or so games on it. Even something with like the DS, like one anything like those older consoles that truly fits in the pocket, that's truly portable, that's a cheap price in case something like happens to it. I think that this is the time to do that. I mean, I know you can do that right now with like those Chinese knockoff emulation handhelds that are. I never bought one. I thought about it. I'm getting close to getting one for this reason, and that would just be like casual travel play. But something official from Nintendo where you can like trust the feel of the controls and the game. I think that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, that's where we're at with the price of these things. I mean, the Switch 2 is super portable, but that price, like, and by super portable, even though I just like made a huge argument that it's not. I mean, it's super portable compared to like the Xbox Series X or the PS5. Like, it's very portable in that sense. But that price tag makes me just not want to, regardless of us having 2 Switch 2s on day one. It's too early for me to want to bring that out for travel. I don't know. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments on, are you going to be bringing your Switch 2 everywhere you go, or is it also just too much? The price tag just too high for you to want to do that. Like, it's too nice of a luxury item. And I would love to know what you guys think about that. So if you like videos like this, please leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell for more videos. I'll talk to you on the next one.